Hi, everyone. Today we'll focus on Chapter 5, Leadership in Communication and Decision Making. Communication is the foundation of strong workplace relationships. Effective leaders use active listening and demonstrate respect to overcome barriers and truly understand their team members. This helps build trust, which is essential for collaboration and success. Leadership effectiveness often boils down to decision making. The decisions a leader makes or fails to make shape their impact and reputation. However, decision-making is not always smooth. Leaders must understand how decisions are made, be aware of potential biases, and ensure that their choices align with the organization's goals. By improving communication and decision-making, leaders create stronger, more effective organizations. Edward Jones provides a powerful example of how open communication and a focus on relationships can drive organizational success. Ranked as one of the best companies to work for, Edward Jones recognizes the connection between employee satisfaction and client satisfaction. CEO Tim Curley demonstrates honest and transparent leadership by engaging employees through direct communication. He uses letters, videos, and meetings to keep employees informed and involved, which builds trust and a sense of shared purpose. Staff surveys ensure feedback is heard and valued. During the financial crisis, Edward Jones stood out by prioritizing its workforce, choosing no layoffs and continuing profit sharing despite economic challenges. This commitment to employees, even in difficult times, created loyalty and trust. The takeaway: strong communication, respect for employees, and maintaining transparency, especially during tough times, fosters long-term success. As managing partner Jim Weddle put it, when you respect the people who work here, you take care of them. Communication is at the heart of every successful organization. It's defined as the exchange of information through symbols, signs, or behavior. Leaders spend up to 90% of their time communicating, and studies show that poor communication can waste 14% of a work week. On the flip side, strong communication drives job satisfaction, trust, and organizational success. Companies like Edward Jones excel because they clearly and consistently communicate their values, ensuring alignment with employees and customers. Research also highlights that businesses with strong communication practices can increase market value by 7.1%. Effective communication is not just a skill, it's a strategic asset. So let's break down the communication process step by step using the process model of communication. A sender, like a POS, initiates the message. The message is then encoded into words or signals. It travels through a channel, oral, written, or nonverbal. The receiver receives the message and decodes it, assigning meaning. The process is complete when feedback is given. However, noise can distort communication at any stage. Noise includes distractions, unclear wording, or emotional barriers, which can lead to miscommunication. For example, the boss says, "We need more printer toner." The receiver interprets it as, "Add this to your already overwhelming lists." Miscommunications like this are common, but understanding the process helps us improve clarity and collaboration. Effective communication is often blocked by barriers that distort the intended message. Filtering occurs when information is altered, often to avoid negative reactions. For instance, employees might hesitate to share bad news upward. Selective perception happens when we unconsciously filter information to fit our expectations or needs. This can result in misunderstandings, like the example of Bill missing his boss's urgency about toner cartridges. Information overload overwhelms employees, especially in today's digital age. Too many emails, messages, and tasks can decrease decision quality. Lastly, emotional disconnects from stress, anger, or unrelated issues can prevent open, honest communication. Information overload caused by endless emails, messages, and interruptions creates distractions and hinders decision-making. To tackle this, start by unsubscribing from unnecessary notifications or newsletters. Set up an email system with folders to prioritize tasks efficiently. Today for urgent matters, this week for less pressing tasks, and FYI for reference materials. Encourage colleagues to limit unnecessary reply to all and CCs. Lastly, improve your own communication by sending clear, concise emails, which will also influence how others communicate with you. Research shows that poor listening can lead to costly mistakes, missed opportunities, and low morale. To improve, practice active listening. First, minimize distractions and focus on the speaker. Use verbal cues, yes, I see, and nonverbal cues like nodding to show engagement. Watch the speaker's body language for added context. If something isn't clear, ask clarifying questions or repeat key points. If something isn't clear, ask clarifying questions or repeat key points back to confirm understanding, such as, got it, you'd like this completed by 3 p.m.? These techniques enhance communication, build trust, and improve teamwork. To overcome barriers to communication, filtering. Create a culture of openness where employees feel safe sharing both good and bad news. Information overload. Prioritize and minimize unnecessary inputs. Active listening. Practice focusing, clarifying, and responding effectively. Respect differences in communication styles. Gender, cultural backgrounds, and emotional states can impact understanding. Lastly, avoid using unnecessary jargon. Tailor your message to your audience so that everyone receives the intended meaning clearly. Communication in the workplace can be verbal, written, or nonverbal. Verbal communication allows for immediate feedback and works well when emotions need to be expressed. Storytelling, for example, helps convey culture within the company and its values. Written communication, such as emails or reports, is asynchronous, great for facts and record keeping, but less effective for emotions. Meanwhile, nonverbal communication plays a powerful role, influencing how messages are interpreted. Even our tone of voice or facial expressions can change the meaning of a message. Combining all three forms effectively is key to good communication. Verbal communication excels in situations requiring emotional connection and feedback. For example, when delivering urgent instructions or engaging in crucial conversations, spoken words allow for immediate clarification. Written communication allows for clear, thoughtful messaging and permanent records. For instance, formal documents, policies, or team updates are best sent in writing. Effective writing is clear and concise. As Thomas Jefferson once said, don't use 2 words when one will do. Clarity enhances credibility and minimizes misunderstandings. I want to remind you that there's a whole section on pick analysis in Plato. I'd like you to look this over, as this will help you with being more concise in your writing. Nonverbal cues play a major role in communication, often conveying more meaning than words. For example, a smile and eye contact during a meeting convey confidence and sincerity, while crossed arms may suggest defensiveness. Be mindful of cultural differences. Gestures like a thumbs up can be misinterpreted globally. Align your body language and tone with your verbal message to avoid sending mixed signals. Choosing the right communication channel depends on the nature of the message. High-richness channels like face-to-face or video are best for sensitive discussions where nonverbal cues matter. Written channels like emails or reports are ideal for sharing facts or creating records. For example, delivering bad news via email can appear impersonal. Face-to-face communication is more appropriate. Introduction to decision-making. Decision-making is central to leadership and organizational success. Leaders constantly make decisions. Some are small and others have massive consequences, as seen with Enron or the financial crisis. Ethical reflection is crucial in the decision-making process. Ask yourself, is it fair? Does it follow laws and rules? Reflecting on these questions will help align decisions with organizational and moral standards. There are 2 main types of decisions: programmed, which are routine, and non-programmed, which are unique. Strategic decisions set the course, tactical decisions implement the strategy, and operational decisions handle daily tasks. For example, McDonald's recognized growing health concerns and made a strategic decision to adjust the menu offerings. Rational decision-making model. In this model, we identify the problem, generate alternatives, evaluate alternatives, and choose the best option. You want to implement and evaluate the decision. So a strength of that is it's structured and thorough, and a weakness is unrealistic assumptions. For example, access to complete information. When might this model be useful? There are 4 decision-making models, but here are 3 key ones. Rational model. This is ideal but time-consuming. It involves 8 clear steps. Bounded rationality. People satisfice. They choose options that are good enough to save time and effort. Intuitive model. Experts rely on experience and quick pattern recognition, which is helpful under pressure or uncertainty. Creative decision-making involves generating unique and innovative solutions. The 5-step process encourages reflection and insight. For instance, during the illumination stage, Solutions often arise unexpectedly, like a scientist inspired by McDonald's golden arches to design a new de-icing system. Techniques like brainstorming and wildstorming further enhance creativity. Decision-making traps can derail even the most rational processes. Nobel Prize winners Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky found common biases that influence choices. Overconfidence leads to unrealistic judgment. Hindsight bias makes us over-criticize decisions after outcomes are known. Anchoring occurs when we fixate on one detail and ignore the big picture. Framing bias shows how the way information is presented sways decisions. An escalation of commitment happens when we persist in bad decisions driven by sunk costs. Groupthink. Groupthink occurs when the desire for harmony or agreement in a group overrides critical thinking. The Challenger disaster in 1986 is a famous example. Despite concerns about the shuttle's components, group pressure led to a tragic decision to launch. To avoid this, teams should assign a devil's advocate, someone who challenges assumptions. Inviting outside opinions or breaking into smaller subgroups helps provide fresh perspectives. Anonymous feedback channels can also encourage honesty without fear of judgment. When is group decision-making better than individual decision-making? When problems are complex and no single person has all the answers. However, groups aren't perfect. Coordination issues, social loafing, and groupthink can derail success. Techniques like the nominal group technique and the Delphi technique help avoid these pitfalls. In NGT, everyone generates ideas individually first, avoiding groupthink. The Delphi technique gathers expert opinions anonymously through questionnaires. Finally, consensus, while time-consuming, builds support for decisions. Decision trees are excellent tools for structured decision-making, especially when evaluating multiple options. Each question or decision branches out into further possibilities. Let's say we're deciding whether to invest in a new product. We might ask, does it meet our budget? If yes, we proceed to risk evaluation. If no, we stop or look for alternatives. Decision trees are useful because they reduce framing bias, focusing purely on the facts rather than how the problem is presented. They're especially helpful for making consistent decisions over time. Effective decision-making requires awareness of biases, structured tools, and balancing individual versus group processes. Avoiding traps like overconfidence and groupthink lead to better results. As we wrap up, let's recap the key points from this chapter. Decision-making is a crucial process that affects individuals and organizations alike. We explored different types of decisions, programmed for routine situations and non-programmed for complex, high-stakes scenarios. We also covered decision-making models, the rational model for maximizing outcomes, bounded rationality for simpler choices, and intuitive or creative decision-making for time-sensitive, expertise-driven decisions. Group decisions can add value through diverse ideas and shared ownership, but they come with risks like groupthink and coordination issues. Using structured tools like nominal group technique, Delphi technique, and decision trees, they can help make decisions more logical, inclusive, and consistent. Finally, being aware of decision-making traps like overconfidence bias, hindsight bias, and escalation of commitment helps us avoid common pitfalls. Effective decision-making is about being aware, thoughtful, and methodical. By applying these concepts, you'll be better equipped to tackle decisions in both your professional and your personal lives.